I'd consider myself to be a pretty big fan of Percy Jackson. I've read the books twice, once as a kid and once as an adult, and I think Disney's adaptation for it is a pretty good show. I don't know if it's just because the bar for a Percy Jackson adaptation is so low that like anything they made could have been good, but it's a faithful adaptation and I'm having fun with it. And maybe I'm on the wrong side of the internet, but this feels like it's just a guilty pleasure show for me. I don't feel like anyone else is watching or talking about this show. I don't know anyone else who's seen it. This is gonna sound so stupid, but there's almost like a vibe to when something just grasps the public consciousness and becomes a sensation. I saw it last month with Stranger Things. You go online and Stranger Things is just inescapable. Everyone is talking about it. Everyone has watched it just like immediately. I'm going through like friends who I haven't seen in years' Instagram stories and they're posting photos of them watching the show. And to me, that's like the true encapsulation of something doing well. Like, I find it's the small things that can have the biggest influence. You hear one person give their opinion on it and you go, this is what the public's thinking about this. It's not like an influencer who's being paid to promote it. It's a genuine person just talking about watching this show. I know if you go on Disney Plus, it's like the first thing recommended. It's like the #1 show right now, but I don't know if that's just them trying to push it or if it's actually the main thing being watched by people right now. It really doesn't feel like it's grasped the public consciousness, you know, in the way it needs to. And I really want this series to have the success I think it deserves, but it's also really hard to define what success means. Maybe it's achieving success in their eyes right now. And whether it's achieved, no one knows if anyone else is watching this show other than through people speaking about it, I guess. I actually have a weird rule of thumb that I think really applies here, that for something to be like a huge success, it has to have an iconic theme tune that your average person would just know off the top of their head. You know, for example, Star Wars, right? Da, 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 you know, that's the Star Wars theme tune. I hope you enjoyed that. Like, you're born knowing the Star Wars theme tune because it is so iconic, right? The Avengers theme tune. Dun, 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 dun. You know, they don't always instantly become iconic. I don't think the Avengers theme tune was iconic in 2012 when the Avengers originally came out, but by the time of Infinity War and Endgame, that was an iconic theme tune. It's like the chicken or egg with a famous franchise. Does the music help make something iconic, or does something becoming a huge, monumental, just like the biggest franchise in the world, make the music iconic by default? I think it needs a bit of both, though. I don't think you can achieve the success without the other. So it's not the chicken or the egg. No, it doesn't come first. The music needs to have the potential to become iconic, but it also needs to be good enough to become like a success on its own. You can't just have good music and hope that it works out. And I think, you know, bringing it back to Stranger Things is kind of the same with them. You know, the dun da 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 da. That's such a bad recreation, but like it has a really like Netflixy feel to it. Is Netflixy a good word to use? No. It's like, you know, that's a song people know now. You know, I maybe need to adjust my original statement. You don't need to just know it off the top of your head. But like, if you were in like a pub quiz and someone was doing like a theme tunes round where they were playing theme tunes from movies and TV shows, Stranger Things would be in the easy category, as with Star Wars and Avengers. Like, people know those. Like, you're expecting people to know those. Those are the gimmies. Meanwhile, ask me what the Percy Jackson theme tune is. I'm struggling. I don't know this one or that one. I genuinely want to know. I watched the new episodes this one. I have no idea what the theme tune is, and there's a literal intro to every episode, so like it's right there. They're playing it every episode. I should know it. Hey, I'll say it's a good theme tune. I guess it just needs time to become a... Once that is an iconic theme tune that just like everyone knows, like colloquially, you could sing that tune and someone would know what you're singing, then I would be able to accept that this has become a successful show. That's my rule. It's like, I don't think you need to have seen Stranger Things or Star Wars to know the theme tune, but you do need to have seen Percy Jackson to know that theme tune, and I think you need to know it quite well. I've spoken about Percy Jackson a few times before online, and I don't know if I've ever like shared this like opinion I have, but I've always felt like Percy Jackson was never going to achieve the success that I think it probably deserves, because it's too similar to Harry Potter, which came out like 10 years earlier. And some people are going to hear that and go, Percy Jackson isn't similar to Harry Potter at all. One's about a wizard school and one's about like the Greek gods and their demigod children. And ultimately, I agree with that. If you've consumed both of them and know the nuances, you can see why they're different. But if out of the two of them, the only one that you'd watched and read was Harry Potter, which I imagine pretty normal when Percy Jackson originally came out, the pitch for Percy Jackson would sound eerily similar in terms of like synopsis. Like, even from the fact that it's like a trio, boy, boy, girl. Girl is super smart. Boy is like the chosen one who's gonna save the world, and Then there's the other one. I guess Grover and Ron aren't that serious, just fiercely loyal characters, I guess. I mean, even to the nuance when the Percy Jackson movie came out, I remember a big heading about it was that it was directed by Christopher Columbus, who had famously made the first Harry Potter movie. Like, they were trying to sell it as if it was the next Harry Potter, and I think that's what's held it back. Like, Harry Potter was a phenomenon, especially when it came out. Like, that was as big a franchise for anything I feel like I have ever seen. And so for the next thing, this is always going to be the next thing that takes off in the same way. It kind of has to do something different. It can't be too similar because people have done that. An interesting comparison for it, I guess, would be how big will the Harry Potter TV show be when it comes out? And like, will that be comparable to Percy Jackson? Like, will there be more hype around that than this? And there's gonna be a lot of conversations about the Harry Potter series and boycotts around the Harry Potter series when it comes out that are going to mean there's gonna be a lot of media and news around it, which I just feel like there is no way there is not going to be more people talking about the Harry Potter series, and therefore more people probably watching the Harry Potter series because of all the talking going on around it than with this. And I'll say it again, I'm tired of this comparison. I don't think Percy Jackson is all that similar to Harry Potter, but it is always going to be compared to it. And maybe that's a thing here, that like I'm comparing it to Harry Potter and going like, well, it isn't as big as Harry Potter was in the 2000s, so how on earth can I consider Percy Jackson's TV series to be a success? Maybe it is being a success, and I'm just like, well, it isn't like the biggest thing in the world, so how can I consider it to be one? And I don't know how much of this unknown quantity and like relying on the vibes and like what people are kind of saying about it colloquially is coming from the fact that they aren't movies. It was very easy to see Marvel become the next biggest franchise in the world just following their box office trends. They were going from making movies that were making a few $100 million to making some of the highest grossing movies of all time. And at that point, you realize, yes, everyone is watching these. We are all together in this. This is just the next big thing. If you go back to Harry Potter versus Percy Jackson, it's very easy to compare and contrast and go, yes, Harry Potter was far more successful because none of the Percy Jackson movies came close to making the same amount of money. Even their spin-off series made more money than Percy Jackson. Whereas with TV shows, it's all in the comfort of your own home. There's no societal pressure to go meet up with friends and go watch it together and talk about it. Like, I remember when the Star Wars sequel trilogy was coming out and going to phase 3 of the MCU, you get a group of friends together and you're going to these movies together, and it was like a big event. Like, we're all big fans of these franchises and we all wanted to see it. And because of that, I feel like I know more about what my friends and other people are consuming in terms of movies than I do with TV, outside of just like the massive ones, which, as I said, Percy Jackson hasn't really like reached that realm yet, in my opinion. I genuinely don't think I could tell you some of my friends' favorite TV shows because it's kind of like I don't watch that with them. That's what they do in their own time. And that kind of makes me wonder, like, why are all book adaptations going to TV now? Like, why don't we do movie adaptations of books? Like, when was the last book-to-movie adaptation that had a franchise that made, like, hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office? I really can't think of any in the last 10 years, like, at all. I don't get where they've gone. Maybe I've missed one, but like, the only one I can really think of is 50 Shades of Grey, and that does not count at all for this. Maybe this is just due to superhero movies taking over. It's the comic book adaptations that are huge successes in cinemas right now. But like, at some point, we're gonna have to return to book-to-movie adaptations, right? Like, that's what I want. I want more book-to-movie adaptations. Because back in like the 2000s, 2010s, this used to happen all the time. There was a successful book franchise. Movie adaptations were made basically immediately. Again, we bring up Harry Potter. You've got The Hunger Games. You've got Twilight. Percy Jackson made an attempt and did not succeed. It's the only one that did not finish out of those that I've just listed. So I guess because of that, they decided, yeah, we can't do a movie because that didn't work for us last time. Let's just do a TV show. And I feel like that's also the rationale for making a Harry Potter show. Like, well, we did movies last time, so this is going to be completely different. But it won't be. It's going to be the same thing. Everything looks exactly the same. It's on my never-ending list of video ideas to make a whole video complaining about this show, but I just kind of shoehorn my complaints into random videos from time to time. But its existence just bothers me on so many levels. Maybe this phenomenon of like why they're not making movie adaptations anymore is a lot to do with the fact there's too much in the books that people want to be included, and people get mad when not everything gets included. So therefore, it just makes more sense to put them into TV shows where you have more time to tell the story. That might be the reason why. I think Game of Thrones was like almost the trendsetter for this, where like you could never have fit Game of Thrones into movies because it's just so long. Every book is like 800 pages long. To even attempt to do it, you'd have to split the books up into their own movies, and then there'd be like, at this point, like 15, and it's still not finished and never will get finished. Yeah, that's another thing I could talk about for hours, the fact that Game of Thrones books are never going to get finished, but maybe one day. But then I feel like specifically for me personally, there would be more hype around this Percy Jackson series if it was coming out as movies. It's kind of like the slate's wiped clean from that original series. That does not exist anymore. This can still kind of exist and have a TV show as well. This is what they're doing with Harry Potter. They're not getting rid of the movies. They're just doing a more book accurate TV show. At least that's what they're claiming. Again, I don't believe it. I guess I could say I believe it when I see it, but I don't plan to see it. So yeah, good luck with that one. And I feel like the hype around it would be more authentic. I'd know which of my friends have seen it because I'd literally be watching it with them. If any of them have seen it, because I don't know if any of my friends have seen it. I genuinely don't know. And also then I feel like we get to see its growth visualized in numbers. Often with movie franchises that come out, more often than not, we actually see their box office numbers go up as the series go on. As more people get interested in the series, we actually get a visual growth of it, like in numbers. We get to see it. And I'm not getting that with Percy Jackson right now. I don't know who was watching it when the first season came out, and I don't even know if more people are watching it than they did in the first season. As far as I'm concerned, it's just kind of the same. But maybe this has had a huge growth of success since the first season. Maybe the amount of people watching it have fallen off since the first season. I have no way of knowing right now, unless Disney decided to release the numbers, in which case then I would know. But historically, Disney do not release the numbers and how well their TV shows are doing. And all in all, to conclude this video, I kind of want the book to movie adaptations to come back. I miss them all, even the bad ones. I've almost got a built-up nostalgia for that terrible book-to-movie adaptation where they just change everything and make it so much worse. Like, genuinely, where are they? I'm not willing to blame comic books for all this. And it probably all just comes back to the age-old complaint I go on about all the time, that Hollywood probably just aren't willing to take a risk and putting money into a new IP that isn't a proven success when they can just make a TV series around an already established IP that's already been a success in the early 2000s and just didn't need to be rebooted because the movies still hold up to this day. All in all though, I have been a fan of this Percy Jackson series. I don't think it's the greatest TV show ever made or anything, but it is nice just to be back in that world, and I do think they've created the world really well, and it really does feel like I'm like in the books, which is really cool, and I'm enjoying it. So yeah, it's worth watching if you haven't already. Maybe, fingers crossed, by season 3 it'll be a different story. I was thinking that technically we have had The Lightning Thief and The Sea of Monsters adapted before. Not very well, and they butchered most of it, but by the Titan's Curse, like, that is the first time this has ever been adapted for our screens. So that's gonna be really cool. Like, we've never seen this before. You know, there's still a lot of things in these that we've never seen before because they left so much out in the movies, but it feels like maybe there'll be a different vibe around it when the third one comes out. And the fourth one's my favorite personally, so I'm really hoping it has the hype around it that I feel like it deserves by the fourth one. Anyway, that's all for this Blue Seamus video. I feel like I started this video talking about one thing and ended up talking about 3 different things over the course of the video. And that's kind of what Blue Seamus is all about. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let me know what you think about anything and everything I said, and if this video made any continuous sense in the comments down below. Yeah, that's it. That's all.